Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. So, Shri Radha Govinda Ji ki jai, Shri Krishna Janmastami Mahamahotsav Titi ki jai, Eternal Adivas ki jai. Gaur Pramananda. So, good morning to all. As Krishna Chandra Prabhu was saying, we are continuing the overflow from the Adivas ceremony celebration yesterday, and expecting that to become our eternal life, an eternal introduction to something that never ends, right? As we were talking the other day, leela, rasa leela, flow, liquid, movement, ever evolving, never ending. So a few words about Sri Krishna Janmastami today. Let me be a good boy and have my time here. So I don't transgress. I may transgress a little bit, but not that much. Anyhow, so we have a Mahotsav today. Utsav in Sanskrit means festival. And Krishna himself is described in the Bhagavatam as a festival himself. No? So the person Krishna is a festival. No? He's a walking festival. No? His qualities are a festival. His beauty is a festival. His name is a festival. So just talking about that person who is a festival is a festival. He's a festival, and just remembering he who is a festival constitutes our main celebration, our main utsav. So that's what we are trying to do today. And again, hopefully not only today, as we say the other day, today is just a small reminder of how ideally our life can unfold. If one day is a microcosmos of the macrocosmos of our life, okay, we have to pay attention how we choose to live our 24 hours, because that's telling about our whole life and our eventually eternity, how we are projecting ourselves to honor life, to honor reality. So today is Sri Krishna Janmastami, a very special day. Srila Rupa Goswami includes Sri Krishna Janmastami in his list of 64 angas of bhakti, 64 limbs or expression of devotion, and he makes it clear you can attain perfection from any of these 64 angas. So that's also another important point. Bhakti is very user-friendly, right? Like one of the points is dancing. So if you're a dancer, you can attain perfection dancing for Krishna. If you like to make beautiful flower balls for Krishna Janmastami, that's your entry point to eternity, probably. Some of you very absorbed doing this beautiful flower balls. Maybe I'm not calling correctly. Balls. Bombs. Bomb. That sounds more accurate. It may explode at any moment. Lots of heart invested there. So it's like tick, 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 tick. If someone is too absorbed making these flower bombs, let's say Gandhar, because she was too absorbed a minute ago, she almost fell on top of me. So that means she was very absorbed in the flower bombs. And maybe if you stop seeing her, maybe she entered eternity absorbing, preparing Janmastami, just in case. So yeah, we can, and Rupa Goswami says celebration of Janmastami is one of these 64 expressions of devotions, which is not limited to 64. Those 64 is a way of saying there are more than one way of being a devotee. There are more than one way of loving God. There are more than one way of attaining perfection. And let's mention 64. But it will be an insult to say you can only love Krishna in 64 ways, or it's limited to a number or something, right? But Sri Krishna Janmastami is there, celebrating Krishna Janmastami can give you all perfection. So we pay close attention to a day like today. That may be it. No? Like this famous verse, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kai, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hai, which says, even in 1 nanosecond of Sadhu Sangha, Lava Matra, Sarva Siddhi Hai, all perfection comes. Now, some of us may say, oh, but Maharaj, I have not 1 nanosecond, 1 minute, 1 hour. I have like weeks and months and years of Sadhu Sangha, and still, where is all perfection? All perfection already arrived and continues to arrive. Again, perfection is not a fixed maximum. It's an ongoing unfolding. And if you are honest and open in that first moment of Sadhu Sangha, that starts the whole journey, creates the momentum for all that will have to come. And it's just a matter of time. But we are in no rush. It's already unfolding. Bhakti is beautiful in itself. So in the same way that we can attain all perfection by one first impact of proper connection, one can attain all perfection by acquiring enough unforgettable samskaras in a day like today, impressions that pervade our mind and heart and will accompany us, will create the momentum for us to attain all that remains to be attained. So, very special day indeed. And Krishna Chandra Prabhu yesterday invited me to talk about, he said, Krishna Tattva. So I will be a good boy and will obey the instructions of my elders. He said, some Krishna Tattva on Janmastami. So he mentioned these 2 words, Tattva and Janma. So I couldn't avoid, but I had to go to a verse in Bhagavad-gita where
Janma, karma.
Yeah, we'll go there in a minute. This is the Janmastami shloka of the Bhagavad-gita. Sorry?
All of the world will quote this today.
Okay, so let's join the celebration. So we were talking yesterday, the collective unconscious. Still the day is sacred if nobody celebrates that, but if everyone is remembering this verse, let's join that remembrance. So that's the 9th verse of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, which says, for those who know it, Janma karma chame divyam evam jo veti tattvataha Tyaktva dham punar janma naiti mam eti swarjuna. So in this verse, both the word janma and tattva are included. Tattvataha janma karma chame divyam. Which basically translates, Krishna is saying, my birth, my activities, janma karma chame divyam, are divine. Evam jubeti tattvataha. For those who understand the nature of this birth and activities, tattvataha, for what they are in truth, they become free from this world, basically. They attain liberation, they attain me, they do not return to material plane. But to understand this verse better, we need to go back a few verses back to give the full context to this important verse. I will say we'll have to go at least 3 verses back. This chapter 4 is an interesting chapter, like every chapter of the Gita. In this chapter, Jnana Yoga, Krishna starts speaking about the principle of avatar and also about Guru Parampara. Interestingly, which the 2 of them somehow are connected, because avatar means divine descent, God descending into the world, and Parampara basically implies a descending current of revelation passing through different hearts. So somehow Parampara, avatar are 2 very related tattvas, related truths. So Krishna first starts speaking about his birth, his coming to this world more in terms of Aishwarya. In a minute, we will go more to the Madhurya, sweet, intimate explanation, but Aishwarya means the majestic side, how God is born. No? And he begins saying, I'm never born, actually. I'm the Ajja, right? So I'm the unborn one. So that's like, oh, okay. I imagine you go to someone's birthday with a gift and celebrate. Actually, I'm never born. Okay, what to do with this gift? Happy birthday, right? So, but this is required. First, we need Aishwarya, so Madhurya is properly understood in context, because Madhurya without Aishwarya can end up seeing as something sentimental and superficial, and Madhurya includes Aishwarya. plus this layer of intimacy and sweetness. So again, he say, I was never born. In the past, I spoke this wisdom, the Gita, to the sun god. That's pretty Aishvaric, right? If I'm talking to you now and I say, actually, what I'm talking to you, I talked to the sun god a few million years ago. It's like, who are you? That's what Arjuna asked Krishna in that section of the Gita. But you are here with me now. You're telling you spoke this to the sun god millions of years ago. So who are you? So all this gives the chance of presenting the Aishvaric side of Krishna. I'm God, I'm never born, I'm coming here with certain reasons and so on. So first we need Aishvarya. Many sections in the Gita present this idea, no? Like for example, in one chapter after that, in the Chatur Shloki, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matha sarvam pravartate. First he says that. I'm the source of everything, everything emanates from me. That's again, Aishvarya, right? And then he says, Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samambita. Those who understand that properly, they worship me very intimately. So there he brings the Madhurya side. But first, Aishvarya. That's what makes the Madhurya more attractive. Like I don't know, you hear about Krishna being a baby and learning crawling and learning to walk, as we were talking the other day. And that's especially sweet. Why? Because he's God.
And he's the ability in man to walk.
Yeah.
Exactly. No? And on top of all that, he's learning to walk and falling. And so that makes, especially for Madhurya, by having Aishvarya in place. No? Eventually, you become so absorbed in Madhurya that the Aishvarya basically evaporates. Still somewhere, but not in your awareness. But in the beginning, a proper establishing of Krishna's divinity makes the Madhurya of the intimacy of his leela even more charming. Because you see a baby crawling is sweet, but you see a baby crawling who happens to be God at the same time. And all the things that we say, it's like, wow, that's especially sweet. So anyhow, we in this way reach verse number 6 of this chapter. Before going to verse number 9, the Janmastami shloka of the Bhagavad-gita, in verse 6, Krishna starts to speak about, again, the nature of his birth, and gradually hinting at the Madhurya of his birth as well. I'd like to read the verses directly from Srila Siddhar Maharaj's version of the Gita here, with your permission, the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute. Because his translations are very to the point. So Krishna is saying, verse 6, although my eternal form is transcendental to birth and death, and I am the Lord of all beings, I appear within the world in my divine nature, by my sweet will, extending my internal potency. So again, in the beginning, it's pretty Aishvaric. No? My form is transcendental, I'm born and so on. But then he uses the term swam prakritim, my own nature. So I appear in my original form, avyayatma, he says also, which is imperishable. In other words, Krishna appears in his eternal form, basically. When we are born, birth after birth is not always the same form. So it's not our eternal form. But when Krishna appears in his eternal form. So that's an important point to make, which again is Aishvarya. I'm God, so I don't change bodies. I don't change my sense of identity like different people. I'm always the same person. And then he hints with the word, and we'll talk about that later, how Krishna is, maybe later today. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm going there now, but in more detail later today, probably. So in this verse, he's saying, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. So I appear by my own internal potency. So here he's kind of by my Maya, by my own Maya, Yoga Maya, we'll say in this case. Now we'll say Swarup Shakti, Bhakti. No? So in one sense, here starts to hint here, Bhakti makes me appear. My inner potency, through my inner potency. So this is the first time Swarup Shakti is introduced in the Bhagavad-gita. Love. Krishna is saying, I am appearing because of love. So indirectly, he's hinting at his final reason for descending. So we will see gradually. So the main reason for Krishna's appearance is Atma Maya, by his inner nature, his divine potency, Bhakti. As we will see, he appears to show mercy on his devotees, or even we will say to reciprocate to the mercy he feels he receives from his devotees. Because that's Krishna's humility. He's not thinking, I will give mercy to all of you guys. Also, he feels, you're giving so much mercy to me, how to reciprocate. So he will come to reciprocate to his devotees, and as we will see, especially to his devotees in Vrindavan. In fact, there is a statement by Kavi Karnapur that he says, the whole Bhoma Leela, the whole Leela of Krishna on earth, the whole appearance here is for the sake of Yashoda. One example. Because why? Because the greatest joy for a mother is to give birth. That's his psychology. Although the giving of birth may be a little painful, but the process of giving birth and all that comes with that. And so in the Nitya Leela, Krishna is never born. He's always there. So the birth of Krishna on earth is an added feature that doesn't happen in Golok Vrindavan. It's only in Gokul. So Kavi Karnapur say, Krishna organized all this Leela on earth just for the sake and the joy of Yashoda. Like making a point, like, it doesn't necessarily to be read only in that way, but it's a way of thinking, of saying, he can do all this just to give pleasure to one devotee. No, he's so much identified with serving and giving pleasure to his devotees. So again, we can say Krishna is coming, as Krishna Chandra Prabhu was quoting from the Bhagavad yesterday, Anugrahaya, so on. He comes to show mercy to his devotees, but in his gracefulness, we could say he comes to obtain mercy from them. That's Krishna's humility. I feel I need the grace of my devotees. There are many verses in the scripture that say that. God is eternally grateful. Krishna is eternally indebted, we could say. There's this famous, the other day we were talking about Draupadi being in the assembly, being disrobed, and Krishna eventually crying to him, 2 arms on the sky, and Krishna eventually manifesting as endless sari. And we will think, okay, the story ends there. Then other things start to happen. But there's one verse in the Mahabharata where after Krishna protecting Draupadi's chastity, so to say, he tells her, he's kind of still, again, reflecting about that moment when Draupadi called him with so much sincerity, Govinda, Govinda, and Krishna tells her, that cry of yours has created an ever-increasing depth that does not leave my heart. No? That's how Krishna told Draupadi. That cry of yours, that calling of yours, that time, that moment, has created an ever-increasing depth that does not leave my heart. Although I appear as endless sari and protected, I'm still feeling indebted. You called me from such a place that I'm, what to do? And it's an ever-increasing depth. It's not just too high depth that does not increase. It continues to increase. That's the God we worship, God is an eternal debtor. We will see eventually he will confess even to the gopis of Vrindavan. Krishna himself says that in the Bhagavad-gita, Anubrajamyaham nityam pujyayeti angrirenubhihi. Aham nityam, I perpetually anubrajami. I follow in the footsteps of my devotees. Pujyayeti angrirenubhihi. Jiva Goswami comments, hoping to obtain the dust from their lotus feet, to be purified for the fault of not being able to reciprocate properly to their love. That's too much, right? How can God be so sweet, so humble, and so grateful? Krishna is chasing the feet of his devotees, trying to obtain the dust for him to be purified, because he feels, I'm at fault. I'm not reciprocating accordingly. They love me so much. They gave me so much. I need to be purified so I get more capacity to love them back in return. So that's the person who is having his birthday today, just in case. So we don't get him wrong, right? There is the Aishwarya part, but now we are going somewhere else, no? To know the heart of the absolute. Srila Maharaj will say the sweet absolute. Yeah? Absolute, Aishwarya, sweet, absolute, no? Madhurya there. So all this is said, all this that I'm telling you now is somehow hinted in between the lines of this 6th verse of the Bhagavad-gita. When Krishna say, I come by my own internal potency, Atma Maya. And Maya also in Sanskrit means mercy. So I come to give my mercy to my devotees, or I come to, so my Atma receives mercy. So my own self receives mercy from my devotees. So all these things can be drawn from this verse, in between the lines. No? We have to develop the eye to read scripture indirectly. Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, Paroksham Mama Chapriyam. I like when things are said indirectly. That's Krishna's own taste. I don't like when things are said like obviously. That's boring. Someone comes and tells me, I love you, Krishna. It's like, oh, it's too direct. Let's be more crooked. Krishna likes everything crooked. He's crooked in 3 parts. Love moves in a crooked way, like we say. When Yashoda was chasing Krishna, he was a child. He will not run like this. He will run like this. Because everything in him is crooked, no matter what, it has to be like this. So, Paroksha Mama Chapra. He's speaking here, the crooked one is speaking here. And we need to understand his zigzag words in a similar zigzag way. There's what is being said in between. We have the literal meaning of the verse, and then we need to see what's beyond the literal meaning. Literal reading is always the lower version of interpreting the scripture. And we can read all scripture literally. That's the lowest version of it. There's so much more beyond that. So having indicated all this already indirectly, now in the next verse, verse number 7, have a few more minutes. Krishna continues with his secondary purpose. No, this verse number 7, famous verse of the Gita, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya. So, O Bharat, whenever there is a decline of religion and uprising of irreligion, I personally make my advent. No? So now Krishna is balancing. He just said how he comes out of Bhakti for Bhakti, to give mercy, to receive mercy. Now he's saying, and also come secondary purpose, byproduct of the first one, to preserve Dharma, to do all that it takes to keep the eternal law, Dharma, in place. So he mentioned primary purpose, secondary purpose. And next in verse number 8, Krishna kind of summarizes both of these, the inner purpose and the secondary purpose. Paritranaya sadhunam, main purpose. Vinashaya chaduskritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna first says, I come to paritranaya sadhunam, to protect my sadhus. So that's what we say before. He comes for Bhakti, out of Bhakti, for his Bhaktas, to give mercy to them, to receive mercy from them. That's his main area of absorption. Sometimes in some traditions, we hear God, and God is exclusively mainly related to us and this world. No, it's kind of a anthropocentric, even bordering narcissism in some cases, vision of God. Oh, if God exists, everything about him has to be revolving about what's going on with me here. Not necessarily. Doesn't mean that he's indifferent to you nor anyone, but also he has his own intimate circle of love, and he's also absorbed in that, without neglecting anything and anyone else. But we shouldn't force God to just, you have to have your life revolving around what's going on with me here. He has his own inner circle of revolving. So paritranaya sadhunam, he comes to protect his sadhus, to establish dharma, to correct wickedness, to preserve the principles of religion. But again, establishing dharma, correcting wickedness are all byproducts of main purpose, protecting his devotees. Now someone can bring Purva Paksha here, some opposing view. Why the devotees need to be protected? No?
Sadhus have no fear.
Rakshishyat iti vishvaso, no? Optritvi varanam. They're abhai, they're fearless. They have accepted fully Krishna's shelter. They rakshishyatiti vishvaso. One aspect of Sharanagati is, I trust that Krishna will protect me. So they are ready. It's not that they trust and Krishna fails to reciprocate. Krishna is protecting them. So from what does Krishna need to protect these devotees? So some acharyas have expressed, Krishna especially come to protect his devotees from themselves, because they are here in this world, dying in separation from him and from his darshan and his personal association. They can no longer survive his separation. He needs to come. Emergency mission to save his devotee's life in separation from him. That's how intense it gets, right? I mean, in the leela, Krishna is about to die on a daily basis in separation from Radha. That's a daily affair in Golok Vrindavan. As I like to say, part of our service is in eternity will be to save their lives somehow or other, to give hope, to give support, to make arrangements for the new meeting. Because the 10th symptom of separation is mriti. I am about to die without you. So that's on a daily basis in eternity. And those devotees on earth who are getting closer to that standard start to feel, I'm dying in separation from my beloved. And Jayatamam prapadante. So Krishna says, I reciprocate according to your approach. You are dying in separation from me, I'm dying in separation from you. I cannot contain myself, I have to go. No? So that's the main reason for avatar. Paritranaya sadhunam. Krishna is protecting his devotees from the dark night of the soul of separation of him, right? So far, this is what Krishna has said. Explained his primary purpose, why he descends out of bhakti for bhakti, to give mercy, to receive mercy, back and forth. Secondary purposes, preserving dharma, correcting wickedness, protecting devotees from themselves in the agony of separation. And then we come back again to our Janmastami shloka, verse 9 from chapter 4. Hopefully now it makes a little bit more sense. I will read it again. Let's read from Srila Siddhar Maharaj's translation. He says, O Arjuna, having said what he just said, we just try to explain. O Arjuna, one who comes to know thus the truth of my pastimes of divine birth and activities does not undergo rebirth. After giving up this body, he attains me. And then is some extra explanation of what it means to attaining him or obtaining liberation. My grace is revealed to him as my personal transcendental joyful potency, Ladini Shakti. His heart is melted in divine love, and he attains my eternal devotional service. So, so that's what this verse says, right? Krishna says, if you really understand why I'm getting born, why I come here, what's the nature? Because it's not only Janma, it's karma, no? Leela, Divya karma, all the activities that come after his birth. If you in Tattva, in truth, understand what's the main intention and motivation behind all that, you cannot but attain me, because when you become aware of the, how to say, the irresistible sweet reasons for why I come here, you probably will become equally attracted to the point that you need to join me in that leela. Because it's so unique why Krishna ultimately comes to this world, why he undergoes birth, so to say, if you want to call it that way. And the background reasons are so charming that probably one will be charmed to the point of, I want to be part of that. I want to participate in this reality. So again, in Aishwarya terms, Krishna is not born, he's eternal. But from there, moving to Madhurya, he's coming out of his inner potency to bestow bhakti, to give love, to receive love from his lovers. As a secondary effect, the order is preserved in the world. Everyone gets mercy. And ultimately, he comes to protect his devotees from themselves in the agony of separation. And we can say more specifically, not only his devotees, but we'll say the Brajavasi in particular. In our Gaudiya Sampradaya will we go there. And that person who understands that fact, Tattvataha evam jubeti tattvataha, he who really knows this as it is, Srila Prabhupada will say, that person attains me. That person becomes so charmed by that, that my qualities, Srila Siddha Maharaj will quote Srila Jiva Goswami here in one part. Jiva Goswami says, Krishna is bhajaniya guna visishta. He whose qualities are so charming that you become irresistibly drawn to dedicate your life in that direction. So when we understand the nature of Krishna's, the reasons for Krishna's birth and appearance, we cannot but feel attracted, and Krishna feels so attracted by our attraction that he bestows all perfection. Like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, he says, Krishna, you will attain all perfection even before giving up your body. Like Krishna can't wait. I mean, I cannot wait that you leave your body for me to bestow all that I want to give you. Yet there you have it. Because he sees our eagerness, and he's so eager as well. So anyhow, a few words. I don't want to transgress more of the morning time. There are other things and preparations for the festival. I want to share some thoughts in connection to this Janmashtami shloka of the Gita, and there is much more to say. Actually, this was just a warming up of the implications of Krishna's birth. We may talk maybe later today about that, but because Krishna is born with certain reasons in the leela with the Brajavasis, in our tradition we'll say he's born in Vrindavan, not in Mathura. Goswami have explained he's born from Yashoda, and the Mathura expansion merges into the original Vrindavan Krishna. But what happens after the leela unfolds? All that has to do also with understanding the nature of his birth and activities. So maybe later we can talk more about that. I don't know, Krishna Chandraji, want to say something?
No one has a comment, a question, something to add?
Just, I'm very touched right now because I was preparing something to talk about tonight, something personal. So I was going to the library, and I thought, I have no idea what I can talk about. And I thought, then I just take Bhagavad-gita and open it and go from there. And I opened 4:6.
I call that not coincidence, but God incidence. Yeah. And I didn't see you doing that, and now I'm talking about it. I had no idea. So it's touching for you, now it's touching for me equally. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Krishna Das.
Actually, for me, was happening the same thing, because I'm like reading daily a chapter.
Yes.
And today was 4th chapter. I read the verse also today. So,
thank you for sharing. Again, when Krishna wants to make something clear, he does it. Yeah.
Woke up exactly 4:06.
That was the final mystical icing on the cake we were needing. Thank you. I was actually wondering, did anyone woke up at that time? Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Maybe someone woke up at 6:04. We can still make the connection the other way around. Thank you.
Something came also.
Yes, please.
I think when we have these festivals, they're like on 2 levels they're happening. We know it's a cosmic festival because once in a day of Brahma, Krishna appears. And like Maharaj, you mentioned, there is an Aishwarya side. Many avatars come, like Ramachandra, he appears on Navami.
Mhm.
So really, and you can see Ramachandra is Maryada Purushottam. He is, you can rely on him in any way. Because on the 9th day he appeared, and then you make it 2 times, 18. The Quersumme is 1 plus 8 is still 9. And 3 times 9 is 27, it's 9. It will always be 9.
Yeah.
It's like 100% reliable. Now you come to the different side. Krishna appears on Ashtami. So you have 8, it's the 8th day, you know, and it's the moon goes down, becomes more dark. Krishna pushes you more and more into the unknown.
Mhm.
So, but now what happens? 16. 1 and 6,
Mhm.
7. Oh, it gets less. 24, it's 6. You can see it will go down and down and down. This is what Krishna's nature is. You know, first he Yasyaham manugrinami harishe tatanam shanai. He takes you out of all that what you have very well known. So it's in one way it's a cosmic event. He appears once in a day of Brahma. But you started like it's an anga of bhakti. So it also in a personal way. This appearance of something trans-historical. It's not a historical event. Actually, it can happen today. And it's very interesting because Janmashtami is one of the angas. So this means the practice of bhakti you can have every day. So, you know, singing the holy name is every day. Worshipping Thakurji is every day. Oh, Janmashtami also. It's not, okay, once a year I do that. No. You know, really invite Radha and Krishna in the heart. This is something that should happen every day. Really, he has no Janma Ajo. But in our consciousness, it can be something, it's really an appearance, and really something will happen there in the consciousness of a soul. So it's a historical event. It can be celebrated any moment in one's life, and especially on days like this. We want not just celebrate like 750 years ago Switzerland was founded, you know, an event that happens in the past sometime, but through an event which is trans-historical, we touch eternity. And we touch like something very, very mysterious. And maybe just one thought that was, when you spoke, it entered and it came. Normally, we have a samskara, an experience, and then we have a remembrance. But with the Brijpas, actually it's other way around. In the Nitya Dham, in the eternal Vrindavan, Krishna was never born. It's not like he's eternally there. Even the pastime of Janma leela, of birth, was never happening there. But all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, Madhu Yashoda, Nanda Baba, they have a samskara. And actually it's a samskara that never happened before. So it's a transcendental event. But sometime in the Prakat Leela, when the Leela is just overflowing, you mentioned It's a festival, everything, and it's the compassion is not just there, but sometimes flows over. Like today we have a festival, but imagine maybe our joy is so great that suddenly we go to Intranya and make a Janmastami festival there and invite everyone here. So this is what happens. The festival of the spiritual world sometimes expands to some persons who have no idea to invite them. This is called Prakat Leela. And suddenly in the Prakat Leela, some things started happening that never happened there. Like Krishna taking birth. But they had an idea and they had a samskara. But the samskara is not from another time of the Prakat Leela. But actually it's an eternal mood that they have in their heart. And the Prakat Leela, that really the birth happens, is just a manifestation of an eternal mood they had in their heart. Mother Yashoda thinks, I know you took birth from me. And when they're in the spiritual world, it's not that, oh, now I have a samskara because it happened here. It's the other way around. So this is many, many mysteries are happening. And sometimes I'm thinking what Krishna invites with this Janma Karma Jame Divyam verse is really not a difficult thing. Everyone speaks about what others do. This is called newspaper. Everyone reads newspaper, what others do. Everyone has interest, and this is called normally prajalpa. Have you heard? There, this one did this. So this is a way of conditioning. And Krishna says, can you speak about this, about me? He's not expecting something which we don't know. Like Gyan Sadhana, if you start in Gyan Sadhana, you will never ever cry anymore. Krishna says this in Gita many times, Nanu so janti pandita. You will never ever shed a tear. So this is difficult because we are so used to cry in this world. But in Bhakti Sadhana, just cry. The holy name is a form of crying. He's not expecting a thing which we don't know. He says, this is what you did. In this world, we shed oceans of tears in millions of lifetimes. So, but now you can do the same thing. Just do it for me. It's you speak about what others do. That's why Krishna uses the word karma. He's not just, please just absorb yourself in Ashtakali Leela. He's not using that word really to make it more familiar. You just speak about the karma, my divya karma, my transcendental, what I'm doing. You just absorb yourself. And everyone in this world, I think for me it was always funny to speak about birth, about, have you heard? This and this person took birth. And in Switzerland, a very strange thing is happening, maybe in your country also. Then they add how many grams the child has, which is really not really relevant. It said, Arjuna, here I am. I want to introduce myself. 68 kg. You don't introduce yourself to that. Because people have such a happiness to speak about Janma, because there's not so much happening. I came out of the channel. They want to speak something more than they say, so many grams. Which is a little strange thing, because there's not so much to speak. But as we will see, we have a natural inclination. Just use all natural inclination for him, and you attain eternity. And we can see the Janma of him. There is a lot to talk, because so much to talk. We don't even have to have Krishna appear today so many grams. No one in the Shastra. This was mentioned because it's not a boring thing. There's so much content. That's why we have so much to talk.
He was born today and he's more heavy than all universe.
Yeah.
More light than that.
Yes, and if you start speaking of him, the lightness of your heart will be ever increasing.
So heavy that the
Thank you.
Trina water demon, he couldn't hold him.
Is that a hint of some drama that we will have later today? I still remember 3 years ago, huh? Some plays and theater we had here. Thank you, Krishna Janmastami. Actually, considering what you just said, I generally in Janmastami, I always, every time if I'm invited to give a lecture, I generally go always to the same verse. Because again, it's never the same. There's so much to say. And for me, that's also very like sacred exercise to go over and over again to the quote unquote same verse or leela and wonder at so much here still, so much here. So thank you all for confirming that even more. Jai Shri Krishna Janmastami ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda ji ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanand Hari.